You're 30, unemployed, and broke. You're probably thinking, how did I even get here? I'm sure. Maybe you had a plan that didn't work out. Maybe you had things in mind that you thought you'd be doing by now. Or maybe life threw some unexpected punches. But that doesn't matter. None of that matters. Hear me good. What matters is what you about to do next. What's the next goal? What's the next thing that you're going to do, right? The first thing you got to do, and this is something a lot of people have a hard time doing, is start by doing the hardest part, which is accepting the situation you in. You got to accept it. You got to accept it. Accept your situation. So if you watching this, right, chances are you might be feeling stuck. I spoke about that a couple weeks ago. Make sure you watch that before you watch this one, because this is just going to tie into what I'm saying. And you might be frustrated. You might even be feeling ashamed. But it's easy to beat yourself up and think that you can't change your situation, or I should have done better, or what's something that I hear y'all say all the time? Why do I feel behind? Listen. The thing is, you can't change the past. We all know that, right? And focusing on what you should have done won't help you move forward no type of way. Do you hear me? Okay. Take a moment right now and let go of the guilt. Let it go, bro. Let it go. Say it out loud, pause the video, do what you got to do. But let go of that. Okay. I messed up, but I'm ready to fix it. That's how you got to move forward. Okay. Accepting your reality isn't about giving up. People get that confused. It's not about that. It's about taking responsibility and saying, okay, this is where I am right now. Whether it's you living in your car, you lost your job, you got fired, whatever it may be. What's next? That's what you focus on. Now let's do it. I remember a time, and again, I had to record it. So to make y'all feel the type of thing that your boy was going through. That might have the video that I posted was probably one of the hardest videos I had to edit. I had to watch back. Like, I had a similar situation. You know what I'm saying? And the sad part is, I don't bother nobody. That's the sad part. If you meet me in real life, I'm chill, bro. I'm real chill. I'm out the way. I do what I gotta do and go about my business. And it just seemed like all the time, it's always somebody that got to try to steal your light away. Always. If it ain't them, it's a problem. It's crazy to me. But I was in a situation where I did feel like in a stuck cycle. Temporary jobs, you know what I'm saying? And that barely paid enough until I finally got my 3 chosen ones, right? I had credit card debt piling up. Honestly, it kind of felt, I'm not going to say embarrassed, but it was like, dang, I'm going through all of this. And it just seemed like, how y'all feel like there is no like light at the end of the tunnel. That's how I felt too. I felt that way. And the moment I decided to stop running or stop always looking at the problem and face it head on, things started to change. I said for myself, okay, yeah, I got debt. I worked 3 jobs. Cool. For how long am I going to do this until I can venture off and do what I really want to do? I gave myself a year. I grinded, no days off, except maybe for a week. And I took that because YouTube was starting to change for me. Like, YouTube was changing my life. So now I had this decision in my hand whether I'm gonna keep dealing with this or do YouTube full time, because YouTube is outweighing the 9-to-5 bread. Like, it was so much going on. It was so much going on. Right? But It wasn't easy for me to make those type of decisions, but it was necessary. I had to sacrifice a lot. Okay, I'm not gonna have time to really travel and do all of this, but when I get out of debt, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. Once I get out of credit card debt, I'm gonna be cool. Then I can figure out if I'm gonna do my own thing or stack up enough bread and then go. Like it's just sacrifices and things that you gotta do to make these decisions. And it is gonna be hard. It is, right? The other thing, write it down, bro. Write it down. I know a lot of y'all are visual people. I mean, for most, they're not even gonna read the title. They're just gonna see the thumbnail that I have on this video and they're just gonna click it. That's because you're visual. You're a visual person. When you understand that, you'll know how to apply that to your life too, right? So grab a notepad. I got mine here, right? Write down your current financial situation. This is something I did too, right? How much money do you have in your bank account right now? Okay, right now. Do you have in a bank account a certain amount of money, or do you have a savings with a certain amount of money? Write all that down. Everything. Everything. How much debt do you owe on credit cards, student loans, whatever it may be? How much are your monthly expenses? See, it's a difference when you budget for the high expenses that you could take away and when you budget every dollar. I'm going to speak about that a little later, but right now you're just going to budget the high expenses that you do on a daily basis, right? So seeing it on paper might be uncomfortable because I'm going to tell you something. When I was writing down mines, I was like, dog, I really was, because seeing it on paper, the amount that it is, it's going to suck, but that's the first step to fixing it. Do that, right? Number 2, accept without any excuses. No excuses. No excuses. Don't blame anyone else for what happened. Don't not your parents, your boss, your friends. Don't blame nobody. Don't blame nobody. Don't blame the economy. None of that. None of that. Even if they played a role in the situation, you have to take ownership now. All right? That's just what it is. Okay? That's how you regain your control back. All right? Let's move on. I talk about this a lot as well. Mentally, you have to have that shift in mindset. Like, I want people to be so... Here's the problem. Mentally, people are not strong anymore. They're just not. If they go through something, it ignites their brain and they ready to just stop everything. That'd be the problem. I need y'all to have resilience and outbeat your mind, because this is powerful too. Your mind, what you speak into existence, that's powerful too. Y'all heard of manifestation. We got to do better about that. And instead of saying, damn, I'm broke, or saying I ain't got no money right now, start saying other things to embed that in your mind. Like, I'm rebuilding. I'm gonna touch 50,000. I'm gonna touch my first 30. Like, you gotta say stuff like that and then put it into action. Focus on how to get there. Don't focus on what you in right now. That's what you focus on. But the problem is y'all focus on the situation you in right now. Like, damn, how am I gonna do? No, focus how you gonna get out of it. That's what you focus on. Okay. Now, with the cutting expenses thing, this was something I had to do. But again, I told y'all it's a difference versus you tracking every dollar expenses and cutting those out versus cutting out the high bill radius. That's what I did. In a later video, I'm gonna talk about the tracking every dollar part. So, like I said, what I did, I tracked and cut back expenses that was like through the water, like debt. And then the daily ones, like unnecessary cable, right? I had, around the time I still got 2 phones, but around that time I had my own plan. But then I switched my plan to a cheaper one. It's just finding those little nicks in where you could kind of cut back but still have your stuff. You get me? So now that you accepted where you are, it's time to make them changes that I just spoke about. The quickest way to take control of your finances is to cut back on unnecessary things, like I explained, right? And before you roll your eyes or, say, I've been doing that, no, really look at what you got going on. I speak about this a lot too. A lot of y'all spend money at fast food places. And I'm talking about, if you really look at your statements, like bank statements, I know for me, it wasn't fast food. It was the phones, because I did have a high phone bill, but it was the phones and then the debt for me. That was the biggest ones. Cable, I could have still kept it, but cut back on any unnecessary things you don't need, right? I'm barely home anyway. I'm just working, getting money. But when you look at your bank statements, most of y'all, it's going to be food. I guarantee it. It's going to be fast food. And them little $8, $10, $12 meals, bro, them add up a week. And then monthly, you'll start to notice if you just cut back on fast food and not eating out, or if you do, set a limit for yourself of during the week. I don't know, set your limit to about 25 or $10 a week, maybe. You got to set a limit on it. But the problem is with fast food, there is no limit. There is no limit. Like I said, it can range from $8 to $12, even $15 if you're a big bag. And I ain't talking about nobody, I'm just saying. Now, that right there alone is going to save you a lot of money. I know for a fact. I had a friend, bro, right? I think I spoke about this too. I had a friend who was unemployed for like, I want to say 6 to 8 months. Because I even tried to get him into my old warehouse job. And he kept saying he couldn't save because he had no income, right? I'm like, okay. But when we sat down and we looked at the expenses he had, my boy was spending like $200 a month on takeout, which I mean is like fast food and the DoorDash app, $50 on random app subscriptions. Like, granted, I know he was doing YouTube, so I know he had that subscription for CapCut and some other editing software. I think it was Final Cut. But over $100 on his phone plan, because that was me too. That was me until I switched mine. So by cutting those things, he was able to save like $400. Because them monthly subscriptions is like one of them like blind kickers. And I noticed it for myself, because even myself, I have subscriptions for apps that I use to edit with and use for Fiverr, right? Even those little subscriptions, yeah, they come out every what? I think they're yearly, but if you add all that up every year, that's a little money you could be saving. You get me? Yeah, so that's just that on that. Track every dollar. Now, this is for the person that's gonna budget but track every single expense. Remember I said when you track every dollar, and then there's the person that's gonna track how to lower the most expensive thing that they're using. Okay? But tracking every dollar for 1 week, what I would do is I would write everything you spend money on. That's what I would do. And if you can see a pattern, you circle it, which is what I did, and then you, for example, your daily could be, I don't know, it could be you getting coffee from Starbucks. I don't know, coffee, right? Or better yet, you a Temu shopper. Yeah, it's a couple of y'all out there. Yeah, Temu and Amazon shopper, right? So all them random purchases you make throughout the month, right? Once you see where that money's going, such as Amazon or Temu, you can start cutting that. If you spending 50, why don't we cut that to 25 or even 15? Do you get what I'm saying? you got to cancel them subscriptions. I know I did. Granted, I was upset that CapCut was gone, but it's all good. That's more money that I saved in my pocket from using CapCut. Now I just use Final Cut Pro. Just use my MacBook, edit my videos on that, call it a day. Yeah, because that was starting to add up. Those yearly or monthly subscriptions, those is like deadly kickers. In any way, if you could find a free one and not have to have a subscription, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. Even if you a person that like Netflix, I know it's a lot of y'all out there, Spotify, a lot of y'all out there. I don't know, Hulu, Disney Plus, all of those subscriptions, those add up, man. Those add up. Downsize. Downsize was something that I had to do too. Now, if your rent is eating up most of your check, most of your money, consider moving into a smaller place. Now, that was something that I wanted to do, but I was like, nah. I worked too hard for what I had got. I just don't see myself doing that. Nah. Or if you that person that's, rent is high right now and it's taking most of your money, move in with a parent. Move in with your parents. Try to find a roommate. Now, I hear a lot of people say move in with a roommate. I'm gonna tell you my personal opinion on that. Find someone reliable. See, I can rely on me, but everybody's not reliable, and that's my main problem right there. Is because, let's say if I was to move in with somebody, right, as a roommate, if they don't got their side of the rent, now what's gonna happen? That's just things I be thinking about. So that part of it, to each his own. It's not glamorous. I had to do that one time in my life. But I was in school, right? And we had found something and it just didn't, I vowed to myself I was never doing that again, ever in life. So that's why I'm saying that I'm not gonna do that. But if you do, I know you can save hundreds of dollars this way. But again, find somebody that's reliable. Shop smarter. Shop smarter, because when you go grocery shopping, I know a lot of people would tell you, you don't have to go to Walmart or Target. Go to Aldi's. Aldi's is getting hot too. Granted, are they cheaper? Somewhat. Aldi's is somewhat cheaper. So when it comes to groceries, stick to a list. I see it all the time. People with their list and crossing it off. Buy store brands. Shop on sales. Look at what they got. 2 for 3 deals, 5 for 5 deals, whatever it may be. Avoid prepackaged foods. Meal prepping is gonna be your best friend. That was something I started to do too. Started to cook a little more. Instead of, like I said, going out and buying all of this food every day, you eating out, them $8 meals, $12 meals, you could have spent that on some food that you could have prepared for the week and been straight. Granted, you'd have had the same food for a week, but you wouldn't have still been spending 8, 10, 12 every day. You get me? Yeah. Yeah. So another thing, like when I was trying to save money, I went on a no spend challenge for 30 days. All right. I think I spoke about that too. I said for a 30-day challenge, right? That meant no eating out. That meant no buying clothes. That meant no unnecessary spending. It was tough, not gonna lie. But it forced me to create and be creative. And it forced me to really appreciate what I already had. You know? You gotta do these things for yourself. It's just to better your situation.